Thank you for joining Wolf Game Theory today, as always. And just know nothing in the show is to be construed or interpreted as financial advice. Also, any guest of the show is not reflective of the opinions and/or point of view of Wolf Game Theory and should be considered opinion. Thank you. Good morning, Wolf Game. This is the Wolf Game Theory. I am Layer Cake, and today I am joined by
Neil Bottle.
And as always, we're going to jump right to it. Today's Alpha Game update is brought to you by no one yet, but maybe soon. We'll start off with number 1 through 3. We've got the real crypto coach Corey, followed by G Money and Panther QB19. Wongsworth is number 4, followed by another familiar face, and that's the real crypto coach Corey, team number 2. Middle of the pack is still kind of unchanged from yesterday. We have AJ's team, followed by Woolish 1026, and rounding up the Vanderchuck Empire is Johnny Moe. Bottom half of the pack again looks unchanged with just some guy, followed by Lord Fenrir, Friend 721, the Shamdu, or should we just call him Corey's lackey at this point, the Mao Code, which is Corey and Panther's lackey, and then the Anon, who has yet to be named. Going through the moves today, the history is a pretty bloody one. Not much fortification going on anymore, just all-out war, it seems. The blood runs thick between the kingdoms as the real crypto coach launched an attack on G Money. The Shamdu, aka Corey's lackey, hit the Panther, his usual target, Lord Fenrir, right in the middle of all that blood, decides to fortify. And sort of keeping my eye on Fenrir. Yes, and Johnny Moo, or Mo, I should say, attacked the real crypto coach, really adding to that conspiracy theory. AJ destroyed the fortification. Then we have House G Money on the attack to the real crypto Corey coach, which drew his ire, and I think we got into that yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
And that'll round out the newest moves of the day. If I look at that,
and I tell you, it was interesting. I was watching things as they kind of happened, and Shamdu held on to that attack for quite a while. And then he hit, and it was only a few minutes, 5 minutes later, that Corey hit. So it was kind of interesting to see that boom, boom. You know what I mean? Because we know that he's acting on Corey's behalf. But I suppose it would have meant a little bit more. I tell you, that attack of Crypto Corey on G Money was kind of interesting because we were just, I say we because I'm mostly sick there.
Full disclosure.
G Money was on 1.99. So he was just about across the fold when we got hit down. So that pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a mental battle. It's a mental battle. You wanna demoralize your enemy.
Something that hasn't happened yet but has sold has been the next Malcodes. So it is a hit against 12890.
It's Panther.
That's Panther. So one of either Corey or one of Corey's minions has done that. And I'll just lead straight into this infographic that was shared by Marcin Teosar. But it's well worth a look. I found it very interesting. We have, awesome. Yeah, it really is. We have the you see the actions of Crypto Coach, and Shamdu very, very heavily aimed at Panther. And then if you look at the two arrows that are pointing into both crypto coaches, you can kind of see, it's a bunch of the bottom teams and the kind of a bunch of everybody on the top one. You know what I mean? Because everyone's taking a hit. Ignore Malcode's kind of hits because they've been paid for. Probably I would ignore the Anons ones to some extent as well. They've hit us 4 times. I say G Money. So I almost see them as a bit of a, like, if you look at who they've hit, well, they've hit Corey twice and they've hit AJ twice. They're definitely playing up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe Wangsworth or, yeah, looking at this infographic, the only person they haven't hit is Panther. So I wonder if that
Right.
ain't on is Panther backed, because it's been either people at his heels or it's been somebody, yeah, somebody up at the top ahead of him, or along those lines. Yeah, so that's interesting. Though, if it is Panther, I would imagine that they would have been hitting Corey harder for the punishing that he's been getting.
Right.
You know, seriously interesting graph though. And shout out to Marson. But what do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I mean, I don't know. The first thing I think about is like, okay, so what data, it's obvious that the data is showing where everybody is sending their hits. But what I look at sometimes with the infographics, especially, is what data is not being emphasized. And so I look at that and I say, well, who is not being hit? Like, what teams aren't being hit? What teams aren't being struck?
Hmm.
And that really what stands out to me is that, we look at Fenrir, we look at Friends, we look at Woolish, we look at Malco. These teams have not been hit very much. And I also look at Wongsworth, and I look at Just Some Guy, and I look at Johnny Moe, and I look at these teams that have yet to be hit and are, I would say, kind of moving in on threatening territory. I mean, maybe not so much Just Some Guy at this point, but Wongsworth definitely.
Hmm.
And so it really adds a layer to his story. So it's like, okay, so here's this guy that's slowly moving up the rankings and building fortifications and making himself into, as the game goes on, a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
It's almost like a boxer, getting into those late rounds without exuding much energy, and then his opponent is sort of worn out. At this
Hmm.
case, it wouldn't necessarily, obviously you're not going to wear out on actions, but where I think it comes in is the mental toll it takes to really strategize and think about all of these scenarios,
Yeah.
and I think that the mental toll is going to take itself on the top teams, because I think they'll have a tendency to overthink it. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of, things involved. People are starting to get antsy. We feel like the end of the game is coming. There's going to be another phase, the
Hmm.
sheep are getting restless. It's so, there's a lot of scenarios unfolding, but I think I'm going to keep my eye on Wongsworth here, because I think he's setting himself up for a nice run, nice victory run there in
Yeah.
the later
Yeah.
later
And
hours. But
and you
that's what
know,
I
like
say.
what pays off in this game is getting in before those things happen. That is the kind of what seems to be the key in terms of the earning potentials behind it. I'm not the person to talk about the likes of maybe Brian or Roxa might be good, and I know we want to have Roxa on later this week, which will
Right.
be fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, possibly over the weekend or early next week.
But
So,
that's an amazing infograph, and I think not
oh
not to
yeah,
cut you off, but I think we're gonna post that on our Twitter later, so you can reference that Instagraph and talk about it yourself and see what conclusions you come up with.
and that leads us into El Scarly Warley's website.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just that GIF gets me every time. I just love it when the head comes off the black sheep, like, and sheep in wolves clothing. That's the name of this fucking game. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want more exposure to more sheep.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, yeah. I want more
Look at
exposure
that.
to everything. But
Well, that floor isn't rising much, is the thing. It's like you look at farmers and they're being pumped and hyped, and wool pouches, which we're going to get into, but the floors on sheep have remained fairly unchanged through all of this. So that's a
yeah,
good,
yeah. There
good
was
looking house.
dips
Good.
and stuff like that, but yeah, no, yeah. There's no
Do you
Generation
buy into
Zero.
that?
survivor sheep left, and that's been something
Oh wow,
I've been speaking about for a long time.
interesting.
Has been the
That's right. There's
survivor
a
sheep,
little.
you know. But I think my, you know, I'm I've always been a massive advocate for pouches, and when I doubled down on this game, my largest purchase was into a pouch, and I, I think that what we're seeing at the moment on most pouches has been about, at the moment, I want to say 70%, if you kind of take an average pouch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
We're talking about the arbitrage.
yeah, as in what the pouch will give out over a four period basis each block, so what your earnings are per day. So I might just grab a pouch here, just a random one from down a bit
So
the list.
are you looking at that with the 17-cent wool price in mind? Like you're looking at that and saying if wool remained unchanged from now, if it was 17 cents from now until the end of the game, this is the arbitrage I'm getting by purchasing it at this price.
um
Or are you projecting a rise from here?
I'm doing a bit of both. Like, so if we use Scarly's website here, and I just take that pouch that I got up there,
Mhm.
959, right? It wasn't a big pouch, so it is
No,
36,000, right?
this
Um,
is pretty standard. That's a standard pouch,
yeah, that's a
non-risky,
non-risky pouch that was given out.
claiming your 10,000.
Yeah. So this works out as if you were buying the wool on the open market. So at the end of the 4 years, if you bought this wool now on the, if you bought the pouch, didn't touch it for 4 years, the equivalent of buying that wool would be 4 cent was the price you got in at. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you can kind of go down here and you can look at what the drip is a day. That's $5 a day. That's 140 a month, which is 2,000 a year, right? And that's at the
Right.
current prices. You can kind of change them around. I love to just kind of say if yeah, so if we hit the same market cap as Axie um did at its high, I think wool works out as around kind of a $13 comparison. So you kind of, that pouch goes up absolutely exponentially, like the growth on it. And that's why people, like, I think are kind of, I know Corey's finally penny dropped with him with the pouches and he's started buying them up and sees this, like, but I think for G Money and all the guys who we've been talking to, like, we've been pouch maxis for a long time. Like, there's no
Yeah.
risk in a pouch. It's
Yeah. I
better than a
mean,
wolf in some ways, but
I
it's,
remember when that arbitrage was first set forth.
yeah.
Like when Steezy and those guys were like, "Man, there's, with this whole pouch thing, like they're pretty. That's how he amassed all his wool.
Yeah, yeah,
Most of it, I should say, is
yeah.
through pouches. A lot of them are.
And
Why do you
look,
think?
like, this isn't financial advice. It's like a hedge bet. Like,
Right.
if things go bad in the game, the pouches are almost the thing that absolutely collapse. But
Right.
like, in my opinion, the research I've done, the talking I've done, the big brains that are so much investing their time into it, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, this to me is something that is going to grow in value over time, and that's why I'm very much it's a bet. It is definitely a bet because they will lose their value faster than um wool will, and stuff like that, if there's serious drops off. But
Absolutely.
if it continues on its trajectory with everything, it pays off much more so than buying wool. And that just kind of changes things. And I think we're going to, as the game comes out and as things kind of go on, we're going to see that discount of this pouch is 76% discount. And I think
Yeah.
that is the number that's going to start to decrease massively, in my opinion.
I mean,
Or, yeah,
also,
yeah,
we could do our part just to say, just to say my 2 cents on it. Is just like if you were to let your pouch drip and say quarterly, you took that pouch and you swept it into ETH or into another, bullish thesis you have on another coin, then you're taking that wool off the market. It's as good as burning it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So you're being deflationary yourself, and you're also hedging on the way up. So
Yeah.
it's like if that other coin or that other asset or whatever you're going to do with that wool is going to keep ascending, then that's just as good of a strategy, because you're achieving two things. You're stabilizing your future gains from the pouch by taking that wool off of the market, and you're also sort of spreading that wool out and using it as a mechanism to increase gains in other aspects of your
Absolutely.
portfolio.
And then also having a drip of wool that you can invest into Wolf Game to then yield you more pouches in the future, possibly, like what we've seen in this game. I don't know about you, and I've been, I don't know about you, but I've been, you know, taking claiming from my pouches and putting it into the game for the most part. I
Yeah,
have a bit of
yeah,
a bit now. I think I'm gonna wait because there's gonna be another event, isn't there? And like it might be more wool effective than the last one with the animals. So I'm gonna try and stack my wool and then make a difference to my team. Hopefully, when that chance comes.
yeah. It's silly not to, because you're accruing interest on it. You're not accruing interest in the pouch.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
you know what I mean. So as it'd be great if you could, but you
And then
can't.
that claim
Your
all function.
interest or your gain is the coin's gain at
Yeah,
that point. But in the wool game, there's no reason not to put your wool in there. If it's just chilling and you don't want to move it to another asset, then it's the best place for it right now. It's
yeah,
the best staking pool for your wool at this point.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we'll just have a quick look at the wool chart, and then I think we'll finish up. There's nothing to really report. I know since we've came on the show, wool has kind of taken a bit of a jump. We've seen a few little buys, but
Yeah.
there's nothing really to port. We really stayed steady in between. Like I think that's just to show you, like we did drop down, but we like
Right.
solidly held between that kind of 16 and 17 cent.
Yeah.
Like
We
if
talked
you
about this the other day.
yeah, like you look at it, we're like a spring ready to go, in my opinion. Exactly what happened back here. Um
Yeah,
we got
it's the
tighter and
wool.
tighter and tighter, and then gone.
Yeah. Well, this is, and we talked about this before we came on, and that is, this is the wool of alpha game. This is what wool is during alpha game. This is what we're gonna see. I mean, Steezy, I think, said there's four. I mean, I don't want to misquote him, but I think he said there's 43 million wool left, or something like that.
I think we burned
Seriously.
we burned more than that in the first auction. Am I right? No, we didn't. No, sorry, not 43 million.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's
but
crazy though.
yeah,
That's
we
that's
burned a few
insane.
million. That was good.
But maybe we'll save this for next time. We'll give you a little sneak preview. But we were going to talk a little bit about the game, and like how this game we're playing right now, the alpha game, and the second interim game is more likely going to be a seamless transition into the main game rather than an abrupt end and then another sort of welcome to the main game. I think it's going to be, or we think it's going to be, I should say, a pretty seamless transition. So
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, so I can't wait to talk about that next time. I do think we can get into that philosophy, because there's a lot of things that people aren't thinking about, and I think, again, it's good to think more in a linear way and less in like a broad sort of way, I guess.
Yeah.
when it comes
And
to
I
this concept.
suppose just adding to that, we just went over 18 cent. Sorry.
Great.
Yeah, there was a 2 eat buy there that just kind of pushed us over. Sorry, but like getting
Right.
back to what you were saying, yeah, and I think that's our big thing is we connected through Wolf Game, myself and yourself, and we both felt that there was a need to educate people kind of around this game, and it excites us so much, and it allows us to kind of not let it consume our lives and kind of put it into the time that we spend together, and that's what this is to do. You know, it allows us to bounce back and forth, get people on, and you know, the main thing is education here.
Yeah.
But nothing is ever financial advice. It's
Absolutely.
for, you know, we're shooting the shit and having fun doing it,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
it's more about how to use things and how you kind of
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's what we're here for. So I just thought
Yeah.
I'd add that.
Yeah, I think we're figuring it out, right? We're
Absolutely,
just like
yeah.
we're spitballing, and I think that was the best part of the Wolf Game community is that group project type of mentality. And honestly, with Wolf Game being what we all seem to be understanding, and what the broader community is starting to understand, is that the mechanics and mechanisms that Wolf Game is sort of pioneering and putting forth now are setting the tone for the industry. So the more we learn about these mechanics as they happen, and I think Wolf Game being one of the older communities around this sort of emergence of DeFi and NFT world and game world, you know, the more we can all work it out together and understand together and get a better understanding of what we're all in store for, you know,
Yeah,
or what's
yeah,
in store for us all.
yeah. So guys, like, subscribe. If you for some reason want to come on the show for some reason, hit us up. We are planning something exciting this week. We're going to do
Yeah.
some spaces, and we're going to try and
Yeah.
record them and put them up. We might get some guests. I think for the first one or two, we'll just shoot the shit and kind of have people who are there up to chat. And I
Hell
know
yeah.
I am going to need you guys and need you, Lair, to remind me to let's get Farmer Ron on. You know, let's
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely,
let's have a
dude.
good
Like to get
chat
him
with
and Panther
Farmer
on.
Ron. Yeah. Oh, interesting,
Yeah,
interesting.
we should get Panther on for sure. But we'll have JMO coming this week, and we got Roxa doing some shit this week. It's gonna be some analytics coming on, and yeah, fuck it. And
Yeah.
what's our Twitter again? I can't remember. Is it
Oh,
Wolf
it's
Game
at
Theory?
Wolf Game Theory at Wolf Game Theory. Yeah. So check that out,
Yeah, hit us
guys.
up on there. Give us a follow, and yeah, we'll be doing that.
Awesome.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. Have a good one.